beer review and news podcast
here in London.
Ding dong.
I was thinking about this last night in bed.
Smashed it.
Brew for success.
As a soon-to-be fur daddy, another one in the bag.
I'm vetoing that. This week, we're back in London, in Camden, sampling Camden Pale Ale. But first, the hop topic. So, boys, what's the most surprising thing you've seen when you've gone to your local pub?
Most surprising thing?
Most surprising thing.
The pub turned from a pub to a Heart FM nightclub within 5 minutes.
What's a Heart FM nightclub?
So, exciting. It was like from 11 we turn into Heart FM, and basically they made a dance floor, so they moved all the tables away, and they just put Heart FM at 11, and it turned into some like weird nightclub thing. I'm not sure if it worked, but that's the weirdest thing I've seen.
Joe, you?
A lot of weird people. I think that's always doesn't surprise me how many weird people there can be. I
feel like that depends on which pub you go to.
Yeah, I think it's...
Is that because you go to the pub with Simo a lot?
Yeah, that's it. Simo's a weird person.
How has this happened? How? How is this? Do tell, Drabwell. What is the weirdest thing that's happened at a pub?
Well, I'm gonna throw it out there. There's a gentleman down in Cornwall who has fitted an electric fence round his bar.
An electric fence? Like, as in what you keep
sheep
cattle
away.
out?
Yeah.
Sheep away?
Sheep away. Or in.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. So he...
That is the definition of a fence, I suppose.
True. So the Star Inn in St Just in Cornwall, they have fitted an electric fence around it to keep his punters 2 meters away from the bar.
So hang on.
Love
So
it.
how do they order a pint without getting electrocuted?
They probably don't. Well, no, it's about the distancing. It's keeping the distancing.
No, I understand the
logic. You can still order the pint. You can still say, "Hey, John,
is there
I
like
want
a
the pint."
special section where they get to? Yeah, but how do they pay for it? Is like the logic I'm thinking is like, is there a space where they have a little hole where they can try not to get electrocuted while they put their card through? Or
I'm going to say I don't know, Simo.
Well, you should know these things. So, because I feel like that is just a dangerous thing to do.
Yeah, but it's great. It's a novelty. Like, he's not doing it. Like, he's not trying to actually electrocute people.
No, Mr. McFadden has struggled to keep the social distancing, and he was struggling to get the message across to his customers. So he thought this would be the best way to go about it.
It'd be a highly effective way.
Oh, very effective.
I would love to see what went into the design of this.
Well, I'll definitely post a picture on our Instagram of this story. But another great phase. He said the fence. He said the fence worked because people keep away from it. People are like sheep.
To be fair, I'm sure sheep keep away from their fences.
Yeah,
so.
I say this is probably one of the best, most effective social distancing measure, kind of keeping people away. To do that, I mean,
in fact,
you're not going to be
like,
messing with an electric fence.
No, I feel like pubs that I'm from should take note, to be honest, because if it works, it works.
Well, I also really enjoyed it to go. The landlord said the customers were happy with the fencing and it generated a lot of laughs. The one person who did not see the funny side of it was Mr. McFadden's insurance broker. He was a bit worried, but what he said he said he rang his nephew of mine, and I said I hope he's not electrocuting people, and he said, well, why not come and find out.
So we're back in London, in North London, in Camden Town, talking about Camden Town Brewery. So Camden Town is actually a very new brewery, relatively new brewery, owned and started by Jasper Cuppage in 2009. Now, they have two breweries that's nicely called the Little Brewery and the Big Brewery.
Right.
Now, the Little Brewery is their original brewery that's under the arches in Camden, and it's dubbed the Arch 55, and it's what they would call their brew site that creates their small batch, new idea beers. It's their innovation centre. Yeah, cool. It's also the visitor centre. It's the one you can actually go to and, try their beers and have the Camden Town experience.
I like to think of it like Willy Wonka's chocolate factory.
I think that's exactly what it is. I think you've got Snodsbury's, I think you've said before.
Start licking wallpaper. Well, probably not in the current times, but it's...
the chocolate river, but it's an alcohol river. That would be dangerous.
So Camden Town, I think, is so well known for its Camden Hells, which is the original never pasteurized lager. Again, they're trying to take away all this stigma that's attached to lager and put their craft spin on it. I mean, we know like lagers, it had a really bad reputation. The likes of Foster's driving it down cheap, not very good quality product. And the likes of Camden are saying, no, actually lager as a beer is really good when it can be done in this way.
It can be premium and it can be elite. Yeah.
That's it. And it can be craft. You can have craft lagers and then you've got a load of craft lagers.
I think that's what I've really been enjoying in the past probably 10 years or so, that they have been pushing, just in general across the whole brewing industry. Lager is becoming better and better and better. And Camden Pale Ale and stuff, and the lagers and stuff are spot on.
Yeah.
They're really good.
I still remember when I was growing up, and like when you go to a pub and stuff, I was kind of told that, lager was a dirty drink almost. Like it was almost like you shouldn't be drinking that because it's, it's not for you. So like you need to be drinking higher brow. But I was like, people like Camden are changing that dynamic. And I think it's really important too, because there are good quality lagers out there.
Mm. So I know that they talk about 10 tenets of how they make this lager, right?
Yeah. So they've got these, so it's on there about a beer. So they say like why we love fresh, never pasteurized lager. And I'm just going to say the 3 that I really liked, because there's 10. I'm not going to go through all 10. So number 1 was don't believe the hype. Lager has a bad reputation, but everyone drinks it. Just like those bands that everyone listens to but would never dare admit. At Camden Town, we love lager. I love that. And I've gone all the way down to number 6, always changing. And they talk about the fact that grains work best with different hops. Temperatures one day might need to be adjusted. The hops we're using this week might be different, but guess what? It still makes a good lager.
Yeah.
And then number 10 is beer for drinking, right? There's no snobbery involved, and certainly no pretentious pauses or long-winded discussions after each sip. We make great beer for everyone. It's that simple. And I love the fact that it's almost like John Smith's No Nonsense. It's like, we make good beer. Just enjoy it. Like we make good lager. It's lager, yes, but it's good quality lager. Enjoy it.
Those are good ethoses to have. I've not read all of the other 10 tenets, but I'm assuming they're all just as positive about their brewing methods.
So it's like, they have deceptively simple ingredients, make it. We care a lot. Details. Everything is about the fact that they put so much effort into making something that it's not like, don't think of the lager as a dirty word. Lager doesn't have to be a dirty word in beer.
Well, as they said, everyone drinks it. Like it's one of the most popular, probably maybe is the most popular or by volume sold liquid in the beer category in the UK in most countries. So let's not shy away from that. We're talking about the lager and talking about Hell specifically. They've done a really cool way of selling it. They've done a really cool kind of partnership with Arsenal Football Club. So they've designed an Arsenal Football Club beer.
Oh, really?
That is their Hell's lager.
As in, so they sell it in the stadium and things.
I'll tell you what they do with it.
Where did you think that segment was going?
That's actually all I was going to say about it. I was just going to stop it right there.
Sorry, I'll leave.
So how they're selling it is really interesting. It's not in the stadium as you might think.
What?
So my question was perfectly viable. I'm upset, infuriated by you and you.
So how they're selling it is really interesting. They're selling it as a beer season ticket. So it's a subscription. So you get 12 bottles delivered every month of this Hell's Arsenal designed bottle.
That's awesome. I like that a lot.
And it's limited to only 500. Only 500 people are going to be able to sign up for this subscription. I think that's maybe just a volume thing.
Yeah.
Capacity, but it also creates a bit of intrigue. Plus, let's face it, there are a lot of Arsenal fans, but that's quite polarizing. You're not going to be picking this Arsenal subscription up if you're not an Arsenal fan.
Yeah, of course. But there are a lot of Arsenal fans, and so you're hitting a big market. So,
I think they'll sell out that 500 really easily. But I thought that was quite cool. It's like a beer subscription model where
quite unique.
You get 12 every time. Like we are seeing more and more of these beer subscription companies. Beer 52, I think is a really big one.
Yeah, so Beer 52 is actually really good. Now that you've mentioned it, I did it for probably about a year or so, and the beers that you get are pretty good.
So as in, I have no idea about Beer 52.
Okay, so you get every month you get a box delivered to your
so it's a
your
subscription.
House. A subscription, yeah. And then you get 6 or 12 different beers delivered to your house depending on which subscription you go for. Oh, they pick a country.
They curate it.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool. I like that.
And you get like a
That's
whole thing
interesting.
about it.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, beers to your door. That subscription model, and so Camden are in it. So they're ahead. They're on the times.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, definitely.
getting beer into people's hands.
So as we know, they're a pretty new company within itself. But I quite like the story of how it came to be was quite good. So Cuppage during the mid 1990s actually missed his flight back home to Australia. So he just remained in England collecting glasses in a London pub.
Like that.
For 10 years. He then purchased a dilapidated Hampstead pub and reopened it in 2006 as the Horseshoe, serving food, wine and beer. So originally it was going to be called Max.
Oh.
As in like
the
Max
beer was going
Pub.
to be called Max.
No, the company was
brewery.
the brewery was going to be called Max, but Max was already used by another brewing company at the time. So then he typed in www.camdenbrewery.com. Wasn't used by anybody else, and so we purchased the domain name right there. So yeah, even before he started brewing beer, he already had the name of what he wanted to call it.
That's awesome.
Which
If I'm honest, that has to come first. Like, I know you can make beer and then you can think about it afterwards, do it. But actually, if you've got, this is so location driven.
Yeah,
it's Camden.
100%.
It's literally in the name of it. It's built into the integrity of this beer itself. It's about being in Camden.
Oh yeah. But yeah, so then he rented 5 arches, as we've already mentioned, which is the original brewing site. He rented 5 arches. And then by 2010, that was when he first started brewing in the spring of 2010.
So jumping from 2010, the big news from 2015, which may people be aware of, that actually Camden Town is owned now by AB InBev.
Oh, the super mega giant that own everything. Okay, what a surprise.
So yeah, that's I think a lot of people going. There was actually, I think Jasper got quite a lot of stick at the time. You're selling out to the big company. You know, you're meant to be helping the craft beer industry stay independent, all this stuff. But what was his payout?
If somebody offered me 85 million,
Especially with, what is it, 2015, did you
2015.
say?
Yeah.
So he's only been going for 6 years?
yeah,
By that point,
And then somebody comes and goes, right, 85 million. And then I'm guessing he still helps run it. He still helps
he's still
develop it.
and actually he said himself that he has more energy now for his venture.
Well,
Yeah.
because he knows he's got the backing to keep it going. And also, if anything, Camden's going to blow up from this. Camden's going to become I understand that people want to support the small companies, but at some point, those small companies probably need to expand. And
I think as any entrepreneur or anyone starting a business, you think about your exit plan. What's your exit strategy? How are you going to leave? Like, you can't just run the business forever, and just it's never always going to be like, you've got to think about how you're going to get out.
85 million is...
Yeah, and he's still he's got a job. He's
still
part
doing
of that.
it, yeah.
He's got the backing of a much bigger organization. I mean, AB InBev is one of them to be around. There's a lot of horror stories, I'm sure, we're working within a group like that. But actually, you can see when you're looking through their marketing, you'll see when you're looking through their website how they have got that AB InBev influence. Like, they are great. They spend a lot of money in marketing, and they have great practices and principles.
Camden Town Brewery, like the Camden Pale Ale, still looks and feels like a microbrewery. It still feels like that craft kind of style. So it's not as if it's not as if AB InBev came in and changed the whole dynamic of Camden Town. For me, it still looks the way it's always looked. The can is the same, the logo, everything about it is. It's not as if AB InBev have gone, no, we're changing everything about it. It's going to look like this. No, it's not been that way.
Well, that's why it sells so well, because I didn't realise until we started doing research into this that it wasn't a microbrewery anymore, sort of thing. It was owned by this big organisation sort of thing. But that's what their marketing and all that they do depicts, that they're still a small. It comes across that they're still a small brewery, and they haven't got this massive.
Well, I mean, they are.
behind
I
them.
mean, they're big in that they're big brewery, which is the one which makes the majority of their liquid, that's based in Enfield, which isn't open to the public.
Yeah.
Makes big volume. But yeah, I wouldn't say that they're like a mega monolithic huge company. They're owned by a bigger being. Like, they're owned by a bigger company. So you're seeing that backing where they're still. And the reason why AB InBev have bought Camden is because of the brand and because of the product and because of the intellectual property in making that beer, because of how people react to Camden. I mean, Camden hasn't slowed down. If anything, it's got the investment now to keep going and to get more and more. I mean, we know a lot more about Camden over the last few years because of that spend behind it.
Well, here's an interesting fact that, so James Watt, the founder of Brewdog, which we're all big fans of here, sort of thing, stopped selling Camden Town products in all of their bars because they don't serve AB and Bev products in any of their establishments.
So that's like a negative impact on the fact that this guy has... So what's it? Jasper, I can't remember. What's his
Cuppage.
Cuppage has gone, I'm going to take the money. I'm going to... for the betterment, potentially, of his company as well. And you've got a... I mean, can you call Brewdog a small company? That's
they're independent.
Yeah,
this is it. It's that classic, and they're not shying away from making stances on things. They've obviously said we don't want to have AB and Bev products. This isn't just Camden that's in this. You've got Stella Artois, all these other products.
Yeah.
Even down to the non-alcoholic drinks, which apparently they're not. They don't serve in Brewdog. So that's just their stance.
Yes, of course.
I think you're gonna have Camden's going to do just fine without it being listed in Brewdog's pubs. I think. That's more for Brewdog again doing a stance on something, a bit of publicity, a bit of a buzz. It's buzziness. That's Brewdog's.
Thinking about going back to Camden Town and the can itself is like I'm always interested in what's going on the can, around the can. Now, if you look to the back of the can, okay, you've got interesting statements. I think that I didn't really know about them. The fact that they say, we love our American cousins, but sometimes we think they can be full on. Now, that's quite an interesting statement to make because that kind of, does it like polarize your audience a little bit? But they've said, we've crafted this beer to be more British. So they're all instantly saying that this is a British style. And then they also have this interesting box, which is just pale to pale and interesting, and they claim to be full interesting.
So I think going on that, I think it's important to read the whole thing. I think it's really fascinating. So we love our American cousins, but sometimes they can be kind of full on. So we've crafted this beer to more British taste, hoppy, fruity, and dry. Ours is drinkable 4%. Made with American hops, it's still got all the punch of a pale ale, just less shouty. Now, that's interesting that they use all those words because as English people, we're like, oh, that's what Americans are. Like, it's for us.
It's like stereotyping.
Yeah. It is. It's stereotyping, and I think it's a bit unfair, but it's just playing on those American stereotypes that we have here. But it's fun. I mean, it's sold in the UK. Like this, of course, and it's an American pale ale, which I hadn't quite realised that they've made an American pale ale, but they're just calling it the pale ale.
Yeah, and I think it's just it's clever advertising because I think a lot of British people do stereotypically see when you think of an American, you think of a bit louder than us, don't you? And I understand where they're going with, but obviously, if they wanted to advertise this away from the UK, you couldn't put that on the back of the can, surely.
I mean, I think that they've been very careful with the wording that they've done, because they're owned by a big American company.
Yeah. It's just.
They've obviously the legal team at AB and Bev will have signed this off.
I just find it interesting. That's all.
Yeah. So I think it's important now to kind of unpacking the kind of the pale ale itself. It's very light. It's a Pilsner version, like
with a twang to it.
They put this kind of note on it, and I think it's quite interesting to say that it's kind of they're using Munich malts.
Okay.
So it's got that kind of German style.
But I genuinely think there's like an added flavour to it. Like, as in, I feel like the flavour kicks in later in the mouthful.
So I'm drinking this pale ale, and as much as I don't want to say it, it's quite generic, I feel.
Okay. Why'd you say that?
I've tasted a lot of pale ale, and I say when you have some more of the generic brands and stuff like that, I don't think it's revolutionizing. I don't think it's changing everything up. No, I think it is a pale ale. It's a very on the line pale ale, I suppose.
For me, like when I drink it, it feels quite standard, and then you get like a click to it at the end. I feel like there's a little extra twang at the end when you've drunk it. Like there is an extra flavour, but I can see where you're coming from.
So they have this dial, okay? One end it's just pale, and on the other end it's pale and interesting. And they've ticked it in the pale and interesting. Where would you put it in that category then? Do you think it's just pale?
It's just pale ale.
You think it's just pale?
Okay. Yeah, I'm not blown away. It's nice. It's tasty.
Yeah.
I'm not denying that in any way, shape, or form. But I think that they put a lot of hype onto it being different.
I'll go at least halfway.
Well, I mean, maybe just in a general discussion, like, does every single new beer or company offering their version of a beer, does it have to be completely unique and have to be so standout and like you just can't get anything else like it?
Because I think that's impossible.
Because I'd say arguably this is exactly as you said, it's nothing but a pale ale.
Yeah.
It's an American-styled one. It has Californian yeast in it.
But that's what they don't say anything different.
So, but my point is all that advertising and what they put across, they try and sell themselves as being unique, as being something different.
Well, I think but they're not saying this product is better than other products. They're saying that you're buying into the Camden Town
style.
Yeah.
brand.
Yeah.
And that necessarily, and they're not saying, like, it doesn't say all over the place, this is the best lager or the best thing. That's not how they're positioning it. They're not trying to be, this is the best product you can have. What they're saying is, this is a really good quality product. You can probably buy other products like it, but you'll drink it because it's Camden. And because you're buying more into the brand and you're buying more into...
They're more selling the idea.
When you're talking like kind of sustainability or responsibility for Camden, what's one of the most interesting things to note is their vertical farm work. So they've vertical farm. So they've partnered with Grow Up Community Farms, which is a London social enterprise, and that London social enterprise champions sustainable urban farming for their ingredients for this. And so how they've actually utilized this is that how they're actually utilizing it is that they've built one of these urban farms in their Enfield, their big brewery, that is growing the strawberries that is going into their Strawberry Hells Forever Lager.
Mental. That's awesome.
So,
That's cool.
And, and part of that as well, they're making a 20p donation on every can that's sold.
Awesome.
Charities. And, so the people who actually built this vertical farm is to do with the Grow Up community things, but it's called Root Labs, are the people who actually go and build these vertical farms.
So that links quite well to what Camden do with the community. And one thing I found really interesting is that they've done this advertisement, this tele advertisement, where it was during the lockdown. Obviously, people are feeling a bit down, and they use kind of it's like cartoon characters are all talking about how can we like help people, how can we like make people happy, and they've talked about the fact that, oh no, let's give away free beer. And then they have this like cartoon character coming in who's like, oh, the numbers, oh, they're terrible, we can't do that. And then the whole team who are Camden go, shut up, get out of the way, we're going to do it anyway. And the whole idea is it QR code? I'm probably getting that wrong. So there's a QR code that comes on the screen, and if you like use your app or whatever you've got on your phone, you have a chance to get free beer from Camden, and it was 90,000 that they were giving away.
That's incredible.
So, and that is like the idea that they were kind of trying to tell people, like, yes, like times are hard, but we're going to help you. We're going to give this amazing offer, and I think it's such a amazing thing to do.
And everyone loves free stuff.
Everyone loves free
stuff. Nice
stuff.
giveaway.
And like, it's also advertising to like a younger population.
Yeah, well, I think
as well.
Obviously using technology like QR codes. I mean, anyone can you could get that on your phone now. You just take a photo or go up with your photo and taste it. But I think to build on that, to that kind of point, that was in a specific brew called the To the Pub, right? Yeah. So they announced in June of this year that they're going to donate 260,000 pints of this To the Pub new brew.
Yeah.
And that's going to all these. The money of that is going to post-lockdown pubs. So whether that's bought in, through the website or from the pub themselves, the proceeds are going to the hospitality industry. And Jasper said this quote of, "Never would I have thought that the industry that's brought me so much would need so much help to survive."
Massive, yeah.
And I think everyone's looking around right now at how they can basically ingest and provide this community of pubs, hospitality, the restaurants, everyone, and other brewers as well. They want to help keep businesses afloat. No one wants to be out of work.
Thing from their website about the To the Pub campaign is the fact that they've said this means that when pubs reopen, that they can sell the beer on their bars and get more cash for their tills after a few tough months. So they are so grateful, and I think it's amazing that Camden are it's almost like humble. Like they're like, we know why we've made money. We know where we've come from. We appreciate you. I think that's a really big deal.
In my opinion, their marketing for out of home is on point. So a great example of this is their truck wraps. So what you display your trucks, you can graphic design that. So they have this really great tagline that's of a truckload of hells, driving around on their trucks, which I thought was really cool. And I've seen, and there's so many kind of their bar pop-ups, kind of installations which aren't permanent structures. You get wheeled out or whatever. They've done a lot of work, especially around London. Obviously, they're London-based brewery, so you can walk around. Like, I mean, I remember first proper walk around Soho after after lockdown was the first level of restrictions were lifted. It was a bright, sunshiny day, walking around, just very happy to be outside, and people always kind of really spaced out.
Yeah.
And walked down a kind of a corridor, like alleyway, and came out into this big opening around Sloane Square, and there was a Camden Hells pop-up bar. And I was like, this is the best thing ever. Go in, go up, and it's outside. Go and grab it and walk away. From other, from that setup, and it felt like, for me anyway, it just was like, thank you, Camden. Thank you for setting that up and being in the right place at the right time, just when I didn't know I needed you, but I needed you the most right there. So Instagram, they have 48,000.
That's good.
Well, actually, it's close to 49 at the moment, actually. And Twitter, they've got 45,000 people.
Wow. Oh, wow.
So we'll put the links in the description for Camden. Website, Instagram, Twitter, and they're Untapped. Pale Ale, I think it's not a massively surprising beer, but it does the job. And just Camden Town as a brewery, as a brand, we're fans of how they're communicating, what they're doing for the communities and the industry itself.
Buy it and enjoy it.
Just give it a go.
And that's all we have time for this week's episode of the I'll Try That podcast. And so from me, Joe,
Rich,
and Simo,
goodbye. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram,
Twitter,
and watch us on YouTube.
Goodbye now. Always drink responsibly, and if you or anyone else needs some help, go to drinkaware.co.uk for more information.